What if everything we think we know about death is wrong? Not just misunderstood, but deliberately hidden. Because to know the truth about death is to become truly free. Since the dawn of time, humanity has feared the end. We've built temples, written scriptures, and worshipped gods, all to answer one question: what happens when we die? For centuries, we've been told comforting stories of heaven and hell, of rebirth and eternal rest. But the oldest wisdoms of the earth whisper something far more profound. Death is not an ending, it's a remembering. Across ancient civilizations, Egypt, Tibet, and Greece, sacred texts spoke of death not as punishment, but initiation. In Egypt, the soul journeyed through the duat, the underworld of transformation. The heart was weighed against a feather, not to condemn, but to measure truth. For those in balance, the gates of eternity opened. In Tibet, mystics describe the Bardo, a realm between death and rebirth where the mind confronts its own reflections. Heaven and hell were not places, but mirrors of consciousness. Every vision, every terror, born from one's own awareness. And in the secret schools of Hermetic and Gnostic wisdom, they taught the body is a vessel, the soul is the traveler. When the vessel breaks, the soul returns to the source, to the ocean of divine light from which all souls once emerged. If this knowledge sets us free, why was it buried? Because a soul that knows it cannot die cannot be controlled. Religions, empires, and institutions built their power on fear, fear of judgment, fear of eternal loss. To awaken from that illusion is to reclaim the kingdom within. But this isn't ancient myth alone. Modern science, through near-death experiences, quantum consciousness, and energy research, is beginning to glimpse the same truth, that awareness may survive the death of the brain. Imagine your body as a ship crossing the turbulent ocean of life. Death is not the sinking of that ship, but the moment the captain steps onto another shore. The ancients described the soul as layered, physical, astral, and spiritual, like veils of light vibrating at different frequencies. When the physical form falls away, the subtler bodies continue. Each step forward depends not on faith, but on the resonance of one's own consciousness. Hermetic philosophy calls the soul a flame inside a lantern of flesh. When the lantern breaks, the flame rises. But where it goes, into radiant light or shadowed realms, depends on the purity of its glow. After death, the first thing many souls encounter is themselves. Every thought, every act, every emotion reflected back with perfect clarity. It's not a divine courtroom. It's a mirror of your own vibration. Those who cultivated love and wisdom find themselves in realms of peace and light. Those bound by fear or attachment may wander in darker planes, echoes of their own inner world. This is why every spiritual tradition, in its own language, taught the same principle: prepare for death by learning to live consciously. Meditation, prayer, compassion, and mindfulness, these were never about morality alone. They were tools to train awareness, to free the soul before the body falls. Ancient mystics said the afterlife is not a single realm, but a labyrinth of dimensions, ever shifting, ever learning. Some called it the astral plane, others the celestial spheres. Here, time dissolves. Here, the self begins to shed its illusions, the masks of ego, identity, and fear. But not all souls move on easily. Some linger, trapped in echoes of their own desires or grief, the so-called restless spirits of folklore. They remain near the living, bound by unfinished stories. Even this, the ancients said, is part of the journey, not punishment, but a lesson in letting go. Through spiritual practice, one can begin forming what mystics called the light body, a luminous vessel that allows the soul to navigate higher realms after death. This body isn't born of flesh, but of awareness, compassion, and vibration. Every act of kindness brightens it. Every fear unhealed dims it, and every truth faced strengthens it. That is why the wise practice detachment not out of coldness, but out of preparation to walk through death's gate with clarity and grace. Today, researchers studying near-death experiences report astonishing similarities with ancient texts. People who were clinically dead describe floating above their bodies, entering tunnels of light, encountering beings of pure love. Some return with knowledge or skills they never had before. Science cannot yet explain it, but maybe it's not meant to. Perhaps death is not a failure of biology, but a shift of frequency. A change of channel, not the end of the broadcast. To truly understand death, one must first learn to die before dying. Let go of fear, witness your thoughts, face your shadow, and remember, everything that terrifies you about death is only the ego's struggle to survive. Ancient adepts practiced lucid dreaming, astral projection, and shamanic journeying to explore beyond the physical world. These were rehearsals for the soul's return, a way to map the terrain of the afterlife before the final voyage. You don't need to belong to any religion to do this. Simple rituals, lighting a candle, breathing with intention, meditating on impermanence, awaken the same remembrance that you are more than your body. When the final moment comes, it is said that the soul sees a light brighter than 1,000 suns, yet softer than love itself. This is the source, the place from which all creation flows and to which all returns. Those who recognize it merge peacefully into it. Those who cling to identity are drawn back into new cycles of birth and forgetting. And so the game continues until the soul remembers its true home. Death is not the enemy, it is the greatest teacher. It strips away everything false until only truth remains. When you no longer fear death, you begin to live fully. Compassion replaces competition. Peace replaces anxiety. You see life as a sacred dream, one meant to awaken you. So ask yourself, if you knew without doubt that death was only transformation, how differently would you live today? What fears would you release? What light would you become? Because the truth about death is the truth about who you are, eternal, boundless, awake. If this journey stirred something within you, stay with us. There are many more hidden truths waiting to be uncovered, not in distant worlds, but within your own consciousness. Subscribe and walk with us beyond the veil.